I'm now going to take a look at quantities and computing quantities for drainage inside Power Civil. I'm going to zoom out so that I can see the entire drainage design. Now, just to kind of refresh our memory, in our drainage library, for example, a node, I'll just pick one of the nodes here. Each node that I've placed is linked to a pay item. That pay item comes from the DDB file. So in this case, pay item 027163030, that is under my drainage, under my inlets. There it's set up with a 10-foot curb type C inlet. And if I were to review that item, it has what we call a compute parameter. That compute parameter is set to each. So we can quantify in the sum of each how many of those we have on our project. And each of these items that has a calculator by it can be quantified. Maybe for example, the pipes, we'll look at this particular one here, the 15-inch pipe, its compute parameter is set to LF, or linear feet. So we've linked our drainage library and the information in there to a pay item that has a quantity factor associated with it. And so in drainage, we can now compute some quantities in plan view. Now the main thing is we got to make sure that our graphics that were drawn with drainage look exactly like the graphics that that item is looking for in order to compute. So the first thing we would do in drainage is go to our nodes and make sure that all our graphics or all our nodes are plotted in the file with the pay item information, because they may be different. So it'll plot them with their pay item symbology. Same with the pipes. We would update those and they would plot with the pay item symbology. Now that may or may be different. In our case, it definitely is different. That's on level drainage pipe RCP 15 versus if they were plotted just with drainage, they're on a level called component pipes. So they actually get plotted on a different level. So go ahead and update them all with pay items again. Now once I've done that, then I simply just go open up my Design and Computation Manager tool. I do that from Civil, Plans and Quantities, Design and Computation Manager. I'm going to zoom back out again. Design and Computation Manager has several modes to it. When I open it up, it's in design mode. So it expects me to want to use features from this database and draw. So if I wanted, for example, to draw a pipe, I could simply grab the Place Line tool and start drawing a pipe. But notice that it's drawing on level default. So I want to draw that item appropriately. I could say Place Influence, and that way it would draw with the appropriate level. So you can use it to draw or draft things. What we came here to do, though, is to compute things. So we're going to use it to compute. So it changes a little bit. Now what do I want to compute? I want to compute all my pay item information. So just to be simple, I'm going to double click on that, and I only want drainage information. So I'm going to select the drainage folder, and I'm going to send that folder to the list in the bottom of this Design and Computation Manager dialog. So it's going to search through that folder, and anything that it sees in the design file, essentially, it's going to compute. So I've added it to the highlighted to the collection list. I can add individual items, or I can add whole folders to the collection list at the bottom. So instead of it searching through the entire database or feature table, it's just going to look in the drainage folder. Now, as far as where it looks, that's handled over here on the plan quantity computation dialog. I'm going to have it search the design file extents. I could have it search in a view. I could set a fence and have it search within a Power Civil fence. I could set up a station range if I wanted, so I search along an alignment left and right for a particular station range. I could create a selection set of elements and just have it search within those elements, or on a sheet range. I'm going to look in the active design file, and I'm going to look inside that file. As far as a reference, I'm not going to set a reference, so I'm going to set that to none. But if I needed to compute station and offset, for example, I could do that off of a DGN element or a chain. So I'm going to set that to none, and then go ahead and compute. So it's going to go through the file, looking inside that drainage folder for items that exist in the file. And whatever it comes up with, it'll present to me in the computation results. So I can see that I have one junction, 10 curb inlet type A, 2 circular manholes, several linear feet of 15, 21, and 18-inch pipe. And then it's just a matter of, do I want to send this to some report format? We have some standard report formats that we can take it to. Item report. That would be a simple hard-coded report format. And I could hit export, and it would create that report format. And I would have to go into my folder on my computer and see that report. It's a standardized Power Civil report. Most of these are standardized, but you can do a comma-separated value report. You can send it to a database of some sort, like Access, or you could create a table. And what that would do is that would create an actual graphical table. I could set up the table information as far as how the grid on the table looks, what data types I want to send to the table, the symbology of how they're displayed in the table, the heading of the columns in the table, the symbology of the values and so forth, or the headings, I mean, the width of the columns. And then I could plot the table in the file by clicking on the paintbrush. Let me open up another view and zoom out a little bit and just plot it off to the side and allow us to look at it real quick. So you can see, and all this, the way it looks can be customized, but that could be sent to a table and plotted in the file. So quantities can become quite simple to compute as long as you have the items drawn correctly, and drainage handles that by updating the graphics with the correct pay item information.